Hello and welcome to another data science tutorial in DataVigo channel. My name is Nasir, and in this video I'm going to talk about how to use the Wikipedia API for NLP analysis or natural language processing. In this tutorial, I'm going to cover two things. Number one is about how to use Wikipedia API to extract data quickly, and we're going to use two APIs together. After that, once we extract the data, it is time for us to apply some NLP techniques, such as the visualization, creating word maps, etc. And specifically, we're going to demonstrate how to use the SpaceZilla library for these purposes. So in the previous videos, I discussed that there are different ways of extracting data, and using the API or application programming interface is very helpful because it helps you to retrieve clean and structured data. However, we do not have the advantage of using the API every time. So if it is not possible for you to use the API, then we need to use some other data extraction techniques, such as using the Scrapy library or Selenium, etc., that I'm going to cover in the future videos. What do you need to have? First of all, you need to use the Python 3, so you need to make sure that this is installed on your machine. And then you need to type the following two commands on your terminal. So if you're on Mac, then you press Command and a space bar, and you find a terminal, and in your terminal you type pip install Wikipedia, as well as the second command that you find here, pip install Wikipedia -API. So these are the two APIs that we're going to use. If you're on Windows, again, you find your command prompt, and you simply type the following two lines that I have mentioned in here. After that, you're ready. So stay tuned until the end of this video. The best way to find out whether a website is offering the API service is through Google search. As you can see, I have put Wikipedia API Python on Google search box, and it shows that there are two APIs available, as you can find the documentations in here. Feel free to explore the documentation and also the examples of codes and how to retrieve information. Both APIs are similar in terms of what they do. You can extract the text, images, URL links, etc. It depends on your purpose. Please do not forget that you need to install these two APIs first on your terminal, as I mentioned before. So there is a 2014 version, and there is a new version, and it seems that it's a different project, and that was released in 2020. But there are many similarities between these two. The reason I'm trying to combine these two APIs instead of using only one of them is that with the 2014 version, there is an error sometimes that you encounter when you're trying to extract the text from the Wikipedia pages. The solution I found was to use both of these APIs together. So when I show you the example on the Jupyter Notebook, then you realize what I mean by that. So let's explore the examples through the Jupyter Notebook. So I'm going to import the Wikipedia, as you can find on the documentations here. I'm using the 2014 version, so this one. So one of the things you can do is to search Wikipedia based on a keyword. The Wikipedia has got a special search tool, and whatever you put, it gives you the most relevant search results. So if you put US elections, or US election, as I put here, so similar to Google, it gives you lots of pages in relation to the US election. So obviously the most relevant one is the 2020 United States election. So you can find the relevant Wikipedia page for this one. But there are also some other pages in here. So obviously you can click on the next page and find the other pages as well. What this code does, so wikipedia.search, and then you put the keyword on the quotation mark, is to give you the first 10 results that you can find in here. So if you want to extract more results, all you need to do is that if I show you the code, so by default the results is 10. So what you can do is to set this to 20 or any other number, okay? But I'm going to keep it to 10 anyway for now. So these are the titles of the pages that we find here, okay? Then, if you want to find the summary of the text, the code is wikipedia.page, and then you put the title of the pages that you find on this list, and it gives you the summary like this. And if you want to find the full text, is the content that you type in here, and it gives you the full content of the Wikipedia page. So it depends on your purpose. The summary actually is the first paragraphs before this table of contents on the Wikipedia page. So that's what we mean by summary. And the whole text is obviously the whole text of the Wikipedia page. So the reason I told you earlier that sometimes you get the error despite the fact that the page exists is this one. So for the first result, 2020 United States elections, you see that we are able to find the content. But if I, for example, select this one, 1968 United States presidential election, then you realize that you get the page error, and it tells you that the page doesn't exist, despite the fact that it does exist actually. So if I go to 1968 US presidential election, actually you find that the page is there. I'm not sure why it is showing you the error, but I was thinking on how to resolve this, and then I realized that if I use the other API, which is called Wikipedia API instead of Wikipedia, then I may be able to get around with this issue, which you know, I could figure out how to do it. The other thing you can do with this Wikipedia is that if I copy and paste the previous code, so instead of content you can put well, not the title, URL, I believe. Yes, so if you put the URL, then it gives you the URL address of the pages that you find on the search result. So let's import the other Wikipedia API, and then we can do a bit of cheating by looking at the documentations. So again, the principle is the same as the previous API. So this one actually has set the language that we're going to use in the Wikipedia searches to English, and then it shows you an example of a page which is called Python programming language. This API, compared to the previous one, does not have the search result such as this one. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to ask the first API to give me the search result, and then I'm using the search result generated from this code in order to extract the text of these pages using the second API. So you can set this up like this. So this is the code, so Wikipedia API dot Wikipedia. The language is EN, and then the extract format would be the Wikipedia format. There is also another format that you can find on the documentation in here, and that is the HTML format. So that's the Wikipedia format, and the other one is that it extracts you like the HTML document. So it depends on your purpose. Since I'm gonna do the natural language processing techniques after collecting the data, then for me I'm gonna actually keep it to the Wikipedia format, as you can see in here. So I'm gonna run this cell by pressing Shift and Enter on my keyboard. That page that I showed you before, that it was giving me the error, if I run it using this code, so I have saved it into a variable called like wiki dot page, and then the name or the title of the page, and then dot text. So with the previous API it was dot content, with this one is dot text, but otherwise it gives you the same result. Now you can see that the text has been extracted and the previous API was not able to do it. That's the way I try to solve the issue with the previous API. So what I'm going to do now is to use the first API and the dot search method for any term that we are interested. So the example I use is US election. It's going to give me 10 results, and then I want to actually create a loop, and I want actually to search for 500 results, and I want to loop through the 500 items in the list, and then gives me this summary of each page, and then store it into this empty dictionary. If you're not sure how this code works, then feel free to pause the video and try it yourself. So I'm going to run this, and since I'm going to extract data from 500 Wikipedia pages, and I want to extract the summary of that, it may take a few seconds, so it's not going to be very quick for this code to be run. But let's try that. So as you can see, it's quite busy now to extract data from the Wikipedia. So what's happening now is that it is iterating through all these pages, the 500 pages, and extract the summary. If I wanted, I could have actually extract the whole text, but just for the sake of example, I'm just extracting the summary. So now the information has been stored in the empty dictionary. It took a while for this process to be completed, but please be more patient. So I can actually check the dictionary keys, put it in a list. So here we go. So the length of the list, it should be 500. So it has actually extracted the titles of all these Wikipedia pages. So if I check the length of it, yeah, here we go, that's 500. It has stored the title as the key, and the value is the text, which is the summary. Okay, and that's the second one, elections in the United States, and yeah, obviously, it has 500 keys, or 500 titles of the Wikipedia pages. So we've done a great thing so far. So we have extracted the text. Everything now is ready for us in order to do some analysis and apply some natural language processing technique, because at the end, when you're collecting the text, you should do that for a kind of purpose. Otherwise, what's the point of doing this? The other thing I wanted to tell you is that if you want, you can also store this extracted data in a JSON file, and JSON files are actually a very good choice for storing this information. So I'm going to import JSON. Then this is how you store the information in here. So you type with open, so you're going to open an empty file, and then you call it whatever you like sample.json, and then you put it as a writing mode. And then you assign a handle to it as F or whatever you like. And then you dump your dictionary. I called it my file. You could have called it anything else. So that's the name of it and the name of the handle. And this indent actually is, for the data presentation, in order to just make it look better. Because we have lots of data. So if I run this code, and if you pay attention to this area, once I run this code, then you should be able to see that a JSON file is going to appear here. So I'm going to run this now, and here we go. So there is a sample.json, as I mentioned here, and this is the size of the file, 631 kilobyte, and let's open it, see what it looks like. You could have even saved it on a CSV file, but it will not look so good, to be honest. I mean, the best one is the JSON one. This is the title, and these are the text, the full text of the Wikipedia pages, and that's how the data has been stored, which has the size of 500 titles here. Okay, so later, if you want to read the JSON file, all you need to do is to just run this simple code. So you open the JSON file, whatever it is. I have saved it into a variable called f, and then you would put like json.load f, and here we go. So it gives you the dictionary as the output. So this one actually is similar to the my file, which I put it as a which I saved it as a variable. So that's it for this video. In the next video, now that we have got the text, we're gonna start applying some natural language processing techniques, some visualizations, extracting only like adjectives, verbs, etc., and some other interesting exercises on NLP. Thank you very much.